have here with us the president of Planet Labs, Mr. Robbie Schingler. What are the exciting things that you've discovered in the conference?
It's been very good. So we had an excellent kickoff yesterday, setting the scene and the tone for the conference around bringing the right people together to collaborate and to share expertise around activities. And really, I just wish I could be in multiple places at once because a variety of the tracks are happening simultaneously that we actually want to be in multiple places at once. But it's a really, really good community. There's this is expertly run, and really the time between sessions too is when we actually get toward not only collaborating but then plotting and planning for a couple of pilot projects that can be done.
So it's been a really exciting month for Planet Labs, considering you guys just made the largest philanthropic move, how they're calling it, in the geospatial industry. And you've opened some 60 million worth satellite imagery for the global community. What was your motivation to make this move?
Last week, our CEO, Will, was able to present at the United Nations, at the UN General Assembly, and make the commitment of opening up $60 million worth of geospatial data. And we are going to open that up as a Creative Commons 4 share-alike license, a viral license, to really cultivate the community around coming up with new applications that can be done to advance the Sustainable Development Goals. That was our commitment last week, and what we're actively working on right now is finding the right suite of partners to choose which region we will actually want to open up. This is something that's a common theme of the conference here at Eye on Earth, is that we can't do this alone. We have to do this with partnership. It's no one data set, it's no one country, no one development organization that is going to make a sizable advancement against some of the SDGs. We have to do it together. So we're looking for a country or a region and the government to be supportive of an initiative. We're looking for a development agency to also be part of this initiative in order to help out on the policy side of things. We're looking for a foundation to be part of this as well in order to provide some resources that can be spent in country to then do capacity building with the universities, hopefully with an emerging entrepreneurial sector for people to build their own applications against it. And then the four of us would together then announce the open region, which one we actually want to go forward. So this is something that is a large, sizable amount of money, and I think it's something that's going to really cultivate the right architecture of participation for new players to be thinking about what you can do when you then open up a daily update of the planet, and also encourage other people to liberate more of their data as well. Other data providers, to people on the ground, to also DEMs that are out there and other geospatial data providers.
What are the disruptive business models in Earth observation data delivery, and why do we need to reinvent?
There are new entrants that are coming into commercial Earth observation. We are one of them. But it's important to note that the industry leaders were also one of them too. About 2 decades ago. So this industry is new, right? It was really started out of the intelligence sector that recognized that there was a number of things that didn't really need to be secret anymore. And so that then cultivated a commercial remote sensing sector and industry. Now, over the last 5 years or so, there have been Skybox that came on, then Planet Labs, and now there's about every issue of Space News, which is our trade journal inside the aerospace community, of a new business model, of something that can be done, taking advantage of the miniaturization, the ruggedization of consumer electronic devices and all the components that are within them in order to change the cost of building a spacecraft, and then also fielding it into space. Now with the proliferation of new sensors in space, so we're in the midst of a sensor revolution, with the proliferation of new sensors in space, there will be some changing business models. But that being said, the main business model today is still data and pixels, and so that isn't changing. I do anticipate that more and more portals are on the market. Everyone has them as well. And it's getting to a point where the vast amount of data that's collected makes more sense to keep it with the actual company that collects it, to then write their applications against it through a web-based API. So I think that's one of the first things that's going to happen now over the next few years is really bringing geospatial data active on spinning disk to the web. Beyond that, then, is when value-added service providers will come up with very interesting algorithms and information feeds. And I anticipate toward the end of the decade that that's what people will be subscribing to are information feeds rather than pixels.
Let's talk a little about your launch plans in the future.
We just deployed 2 more spacecraft from the International Space Station. This is part of what we call Flock 2B. This is build 12 of our satellites, so it's with our 3rd generation of our camera and our optics, and that adds another 14 satellites. So we are constantly launching and deploying new sensors into space. We have a number of launches coming up next year. Some of them are secondary payloads. Some of them are still technology demonstrators that are being launched from the International Space Station, which is the primary platform that we use to test technology, because it's not a really good orbit for an operational commercial remote sensing mission. You really want a sun-synchronous orbit, so that and it's a bit higher so that it lasts longer than about a year. And so next year we will have enough of our satellites into space that will allow for us to achieve what we call Mission 1, which is to image the entire land area of the Earth every 24 hours. So we'll have well over 100 new satellites going into space in the next 12 months.
Just tell us a little about how satellite imagery can be used in achieving these sustainable development goals.
The Sustainable Development Goals that were just ratified by the United Nations last 10 days, is a really big step forward for the global community. This is following on from the Millennium Development Goals that were set in the year 2000. And these goals, there are 17 of them. And a bunch of experts in the geospatial community took a look at these goals, and 15 of them can be addressed with geospatial data. 15 of the 17 goals. So it's really quite astounding. What's new with these goals, learning from the Millennium Development Goals, is that there are a number of targets and indicators, so a number of things that can be measured and verified for how progress is being made on some of these goals, and how progress can be made with new initiatives and projects that come online in order to achieve some of these goals. Planet Labs data, we looked at the draft targets. They're going to be ratified over the next 6 months or so. We looked at the draft targets, about 170 odd of them, and 1/3 of them we can help. Planet's data can help in a very substantial way of being able to measure and report and verify the progress that are being made against some of these goals. So some examples of some of the SDGs that can be affected with daily update of the planet is deforestation, is sustainable agriculture and food security, it's water security, it is civic infrastructure and city monitoring. And so there are a number of goals that are out there. Again, 15 of the 17 can be addressed in some capacity with geospatial data.
Finally, what is your takeaway from a platform like this, where all the thinkers are coming together and there's just one goal to achieve these goals and to help make the situation better, use our resources better, use information better? How can they use data? How can they not eliminate the data that's not required? How are we using it in a more intelligent way? So why is Eye on Earth Summit so important?
Eye on Earth Summit is an extremely important event. The first one happened 4 years ago, and a lot has changed in the industry over the last 4 years. And this one is happening at the right time. So this is when new actors are coming into the global community. New actors, being civil society, are playing much more of a role in being able to address some of the Sustainable Development Goals. That's new. That didn't happen last time this was coming through. And in a convening like this, to invite civil society to go on stage and talk about a sensor revolution that's happening with a whole bunch of policymakers and a whole bunch of development practitioners, it makes sense. It completes more of the picture, and it really does show the vector of progress and where things are going. So it's the convening and the converging of experts together in order to really get a glimpse for how we can collaborate to address some of these main goals. So some of the one of the key takeaways that I have from this is that it's all about the data. This is something that the data revolution community emerged out of the development community over the last half decade or so, and really set the groundwork in order to shape the sustainable development goals, in order to have them be data driven, to get the data driven decision making that allows for people to then actually make a better decision with understanding the state of the world as it is right now, and that paved its way all the way through the formulation of the SDGs and is culminated here by bringing together the policymakers, the development practitioners, and the data providers and analysts in order to actually come up with really salient projects that we can do. One of the things I'm really excited about is to prototype, is to try out a few pilot projects, learn from what works, and iterate on that as a community, and to do that relatively quickly and get a number of early wins that allows for this momentum to continue to build and grow, because really the only way that we're going to be able to achieve some of these big, hairy, audacious goals that we've set out as a global community is to actually do that together.
Thank you so much, Robbie, for highlighting those points and highlighting why a platform like this is so crucial and why should more thinkers and more industry leaders participate in on a summit like this and come together.
Great. Thank you very much.